Welcome to the Chiro Business Mojo podcast, where we deconstruct the methods, marketing, and mindset of successful business people and chiropractors from around the world. And now your host, Dr. Richard Day. Dr. Beau Pierce is a 2000 Palmer Chiropractic West college graduate and second-generation chiropractor who's been exposed to the idea of total wellness for over 3 decades. He represents an emerging digital generation that's provided social networking and online connectivity that translates into growth and strength. He's the founder of fDocs, the online network for the chiropractic profession, and his expertise in digital community building, paired with his medical background, has catapulted him to be an in-demand speaker and lecturer. He's also a competitive Ironman triathlete and was quarterback for the Spartans at San Jose University, where he earned degrees in both kinesiology and pre-medical science. His practice is located in Santa Maria, California, and I want to take a second and go ahead and welcome Dr. Beau Pierce.
Hey, thank you guys so much for having me on the podcast today. I'm excited to hopefully bring some value to your listeners and elevate the chiropractic profession.
Thank you so much for being on today. Go ahead and feel free to fill in any gaps that I missed in your bio.
Oh, man, I think that was too much of a mouthful to start with, to tell you the truth. Hey, I'm chiropractor, number one. And number two, I am definitely a family man to my beautiful wife and my 2 kids. Everything else kind of fills in.
Absolutely. Well, let's go ahead and jump right in. I want to talk to you a little bit about the origin of fDocs. How did that come about?
Well, I'll tell you what, in not so many words, I was a really great networker at the school I went to of Palmer West. You know, it all started with basically, well, I'll be honest with you. I wanted help with my classes and the tests that I were taking. When I was at Palmer, back in the day, we didn't have Dropbox. We didn't have any of this other stuff. So we actually copied all of our notes to a disk. And we had an ability where we had to go ask the class above us for their disk, and rightly so, the class below us to that disk. Now, like anything else in school, you know, sometimes you have to barter and beg, or, you know, maybe a few 6-packs may have to run across the table to one another to get that disc. So in school, I helped basically create this little website where we uploaded a lot of that information so the students could start sharing it amongst one another. And it was amazing. We shared notes, we helped each other out. And actually, it wasn't until the last couple semesters when I started to take my national boards where I started to collaborate with other students outside of our 4 walls of Palmer West. And it really kind of hit me like, wow, we should be collaborating all across the world, and we should be helping one another get through school and then help each other get into practice and be successful. So when I got out of practice, I was lucky enough, and I'm still lucky enough, to practice with my father, who's been in practice for 35 years now. And I started to get a lot of emails from my classmates and friends, and they were saying this: Beau, what do I do? How do I open a business? How do I even start attracting new patients? How do I, you know, what are my treatment protocols? What are my treatment plans? And sadly to say, I believe most of our chiropractic colleges right now are failing miserably in this area. They are basically grooming us just to get through national boards and tick a few boxes and get out. So I was under the mindset of, I don't want to continue to answer all these emails. So I started this very, very rudimentary website called circleofdocs.com. I recruited one of my best friends in chiropractic college named Dr. Kyle Knox to help me with it. And we got it up and running. And it was literally nothing more than a very, very rudimentary Facebook thread at this point. Now, this is 2011, mind you. So Facebook was just starting to come onto the scene right now. Not too many users. Well, like anything else, after a year or so, my business was full. I had a son. I just got pregnant with my wife got pregnant with our second child, and my friend that helped me, Dr. Kyle, had the same thing. Our businesses were crazy. So I just decided, you know what, now is not the time to continue this venture. So I just kind of shut down COD. I didn't kill it. I just kind of said, you know what, I'm not going to do much with it right now. So it lay dormant there for a couple of years. And then in a lot of ways, I didn't know what to do with it. I knew practice was great, but I also had this yearning to help other doctors on a bigger level. So through very fortunate circumstances, kind of through a friend of a friend of a friend type of thing, I heard that Dr. Patrick Gentempo had started his holding company called Action Potential Holdings. And I got an opportunity to basically pitch him the idea of COD. And I didn't even know what to say, to be honest with you. I mean, I'm, like I said, second generation chiro, and pitching an idea to Dr. Jim Temple was such a big thing to me. And I mean, so I listened and learned everything I could. My father had been to the mountaintop, right, where they did with CLA and all this other stuff. So I just went out there and I was like, you know what, I'm going to put my best foot forward and we're going to see where it goes. And when I told him my vision of what I wanted to do with COD and how I believed it could, number one, elevate the profession, and number two, help serve many millions of people around the world, his jaw kind of hit the ground. And he said, this hasn't been done before? And I said, no, you know, I don't think it's ever been done before. I've never seen it. And he bought in from day one. And, you know, the rest is, so to speak, history. But, yeah, you know, people always ask me, well, how did you get Dr. Jim Tempo to come on board? And to be honest, I can say, I don't know. It's kind of, I guess it's a God thing, you know? Sometimes those things come and land in your lap and you have no idea and you feel so unqualified to be there, but you just have to embrace and accept it and, you know, do the best that you can.
Well, I was looking at the site just the other day, and now I've noticed it's expanded and got input from quite a few docs. Who's all on board these days?
Well, our general community served over 10,000 doctors. I don't even know what the numbers are. I think it's 10,000, you know, a little over 10,000 doctors have signed up and registered. COD is a completely free community, which means, you know, you don't have to pay anything. You can go, you can absorb materials. All that we ask is that you simply sign up. Use your Facebook, log in, sign up. And what that does for us is it allows us to start to have a better relationship with you. You can start communicating in our community sections. You can post, you can ask questions, you can share files across the board, et cetera, et cetera. And the idea behind this is this. You know, when I was really kind of storming this idea of creating COD, I almost named it DC Island. And here's why I say that. I feel like most chiropractors, once you get out into practice, you're literally on an island by yourself. Mm-hmm. You have no other way to connect to other doctors. Now, there's Facebook, absolutely, but Facebook doesn't provide great content. It doesn't provide what we do in the trenches every single day. Not to mention, if you post on Facebook, most of the time some of your friends aren't chiropractors, so they're not going to see what you're posting about, nor do they really care about, hey, check out this lateral x-ray of C1 and tell me if you see a problem, right? So I wanted to create this community where doctors could do that. So with the help of Dr. Jim Tempo, he was amazing in helping to leverage some of his contacts that he had. And we were able to get in front of them and say, hey, look, we're building this community. We would love for you to come on board and help to contribute. That's all that we ask. You know, we want to help you get your word about your products, your services, the things that you're doing to help other doctors, help students in the profession. And let's link arms because, you know, the rising tide raises all ships if we do it the right way. If not, we'll sink. So, you know, I was so gracious in him really helping and standing by. And, you know, I've been literally blown over by the amount of people that have joined in and are willing to contribute and really helping our profession grow.
Yeah, for anyone listening, if you have not looked at the website, and we'll give that domain name here in a bit, there's a lot of information there. You could literally spend hours really learning about every aspect of the business side of being a chiropractor, and it looks like this practice side as well. I mean, it's dense with a lot of info.
Yeah, it's really great. And I can throw a little tip for your readers out here. The number one, I think the most hidden feature of COD is actually our research area. And we have, I think, well over 5,000 research papers that have been published on COD, where we have some of our members and some of our contributors basically contributing articles. Everybody from like Mark and Krista that you talked about, to Dr. Deep Harrison, to Joe Ferrantelli, to Dr. Chris Kent is the person that helps to curate a lot of those articles. And you can literally go on COD and type in any single term, and it'll pop up some research articles for you. So, you know, if you want to look at migraine, or if you want to look at low back pain or disc herniation, I mean, literally any topic that we see in our profession, you go in there, type it in the search bar, and you will get a very robust compilation of the research that's out there in today's market.
Nice. Let's switch gears. I want to talk to you a little bit about social media that you mentioned. Besides Facebook, Twitter, that sort of thing, what else are you coming across that chiropractors are using to spread their message and to get to find more patients and really to serve more people?
You know, I think that really comes down to a little bit of a slanted question, and I say that by this. I think every doctor needs to figure out where their demographic's hanging out. You know, I will say this. In my practice, I'm a family practice. We have a great, robust practice here on the Central Coast. I look at the data, I look at the analytics, and I would say over 85% of our practice members are using Facebook. So that's where I spend a lot of my time, right? I think if you have a very young generation, I know Dr. Tony Ebel and David Jackson, they have a really crazy, great, they're peds doctors. They're all about that. They're spending most of their time over on Snapchat. Why? Because that's where their demographic hangs out, If you have a real cerebral group that are tons into content, maybe people over on Twitter. Obviously Instagram's kind of becoming a big thing, but I think for doctors that are listening to this, you really have to start asking your patients, where are you hanging out? Where are you being social? And wherever they're social, you need to be social and be in front of them.
Absolutely. I agree with that 100%. One thing that I've seen lately that I'm pretty excited about is Facebook Live and Periscope. Have you used those sorts of things? And do you know if doctors are starting to incorporate that into their social media presence?
Yeah, actually, I just wrote an article on this probably last month on Circle of Docs. And I think it's like 10 reasons why every chiropractor should be using Facebook Live. And you're absolutely you're absolutely correct. I am using Facebook Live. I like to probably use it at least once a week. Sometimes I'll use it twice a week. And it's a really great way to, number one, get instant feedback from your community. Get up there and talk about something chiropractic. People always ask me, "Well, what do I talk about on Facebook Live?" The basic, most easiest thing, talk about chiropractic, obviously, right. But just pick a case that you have that week and get up there and share about it. Obviously, live in the world of HIPAA, so you're not sharing the person's name and address. Right. But, I just did one last week on a person that had, they came in with what they were told was bilateral carpal tunnel. And, I'm like, bilateral carpal tunnel? What? Are you serious? Right? So we had this back and forth discussion a little bit with some of my patients. And we related it always back to the spine, C5, C6, where the nerve roots come from, et cetera, et cetera. Mm-hmm. I will say this, though. The best thing that I've ever done with Facebook Live, and I'll share this with your members, I haven't shared it with anybody else, is that we went through a process of hiring a new staff member for my practice. I mean, we did it all. Craigslist, ZipRecruiter, all this other, stuff. And one day, my staff says, "Well, why don't you just do a Facebook Live and boost it for a little bit of money, and let's see what it turns out like." So we did, and I was blown away by the response. I tell you, we had over 75 different people apply for the job after we posted this. Wow. And I probably we get 30 or 40 messages, practice messages from people saying, "I want to come work for you. I saw your guys' Facebook Live. It's exactly the type of place that I want to work. How do I do it?" And I think that there's so much leverage there for doctors now to, not only to, trying to find another staff member, what have you, but really being able to connect with your community. And as chiropractors, that's the biggest thing that we need to do, guys. People are scared to death sometimes to come to a chiropractor because they don't know what's going to happen once they get inside your four walls. So you need to be able to bring what happens inside, outside, and put it on a platform that they use on a frequent basis.
Well, aside from live streaming, is there anything else you've seen recently that is another game changer in the world of social media?
Oh, I think the quote cards is a really great thing right now. What Jason Deitch is doing over there with Amplified is he's really on to something. For docs who are listening to this, if you aren't a Amplified member, I would highly encourage you to go over and get there. He has an amazing toolkit where doctors can, download cover images, and then you can post every single day. I think that is an amazing thing. I think when you talk about social, the big thing is just to be you. I think, doctors try to live in this box where they try to be so perfect and so, "Hi, my name is Dr. X, Y, and Z, and this is what I do." And that's not social media, guys. Yeah. I mean, I posted a video the other day in my backyard. I have chickens. I have 4 chickens in a garden. And I just posted a video. I was walking to the garden. They started pecking my feet and stuff. I'll tell you what. I posted that video, and I had more patients come in talking about that video than I did a video on sciatica. And right. Guess what? That got the conversation started. And that's all we want as chiropractors. Let's get the conversation started, and then we can start to relate it and correlate it to what we do in the practice, on the tables, and in chiropractic.
Yeah, I can tell you we've seen a really similar thing with our practices. Most chiropractors, especially when I see them first starting out, they aren't quite sure what to post or talk about. So they'll talk about, low back pain or something like that. And you might get 4 likes. But if they go to dinner or we did a town fair and somebody stopped by with their puppy and that goes on there for a little bit, the engagement shoots through the roof. So I tell people that I come in contact with, talk chiropractic, but be real and talk about life as well. And you're going to get a lot more penetration out into the marketplace.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And, here's another little tip that we've been playing with, and your listeners will probably like this, is to share things from other businesses within your community. It sounds like such a boring and easy tip, but I'll tell you what, it makes so much sense, guys, because here's why. If you share maybe, we live in wine country down here on the Central Coast. So I practice in California. So there was one of our favorite restaurants where they had one of our patients who was actually a winemaker going and, doing a pouring that night where they're going to pour their latest 7 reds, right? Mm-hmm. And so we shared that post from the actual business. It's called C. Nagy Wines. And from the place that they were doing it at, called Far Western Tavern and Grill. And guess what? We had probably 30-something comments off of that, as well as about 15 new likes to my page. Now, what was that? It was just goodwill. Like, hey, that's my patient. Awesome. Oh, yeah, I know they're a winemaker. Awesome. Yeah, hey, I know this person does that. Awesome. Let's all work together. And that's it, guys. That's what social is all about. Chiropractic is social. Before social media, what did we do? We went to businesses. We introduced ourselves. We got in front of people. We shook servers' hands. We did all of that. We played politician in a lot of ways. Why aren't we doing the same thing on social media now? Because we should. And guess what? That's how you elevate your practice, their online presence.
That's some great advice. I really like that. And it's an old saying, your net worth is your network, or mm-hmm. network is network. But what a great tool that's come about recently to network even better and reach actually a lot more people. So I love what you're throwing out today. That's fantastic. So let's switch gears here real quick. I want to talk about branding. I've heard both sides of it. Should a chiropractor brand? I mean, you have one location and you're not Nike or Pepsi or anything like that. What are your thoughts? Should a chiropractor brand? Should they put some money and some time into that, or just put up the sign that says chiropractor?
Why wouldn't you brand? That's my question. I see doctors that are saying, what should I do? I mean, what do you want to do is the real question. I think, when it comes to branding, there's a difference between a brand and a logo, right? A logo is the pretty thing that goes on the wall. A brand is who you are, right? Are you XYZ chiropractor, family chiropractor, sports chiropractor? What do you want to be known as? You don't have to be Nike. You don't have to be Coca-Cola or any of these big companies. And leveraging what you can do now online for free, literally for free, is making superstars out of, people with little to no budget. I mean, take YouTube, for instance, right? There's people with YouTube channels that have millions and millions and millions of followers and haven't spent $1 on doing any big advertising campaign. Why? Because they really know who they are, and that's who their brand is. So when doctors say, should I brand, should I not? I don't know. Who are you? And once you start having a better philosophy and clarity around who you are and exactly what your practice is doing, that is your chiropractic brand.
Let's talk about this. You obviously talk to a lot of chiropractors and come in contact with a lot of chiropractors. What sorts of questions, concerns, that sort of thing are you hearing? What's coming up the most often from people who are maybe struggling in practice or not where they want to be?
Oh, I think the biggest thing is exactly what you said. But how do I get XYZ? And is it new patients? How do I do this? How do I do that? And I think where it starts with is, obviously you have to have some sort of philosophy about what you're doing and why. And until you've really taken the time to sit down and really discover who you are and what I guess you would call it, your philosophy formula is, you're just going to bounce back and forth to different things. It's one of those cases where, you're constantly trying to put water in a ship that's got holes on the bottom of it. Let's plug the holes. Let's figure out why we're not succeeding in certain areas, why your patients aren't staying with you, why your new patient marketing isn't working. And then once you can start filling those holes and figuring out who you are as a chiropractor, what your chiropractic brand is, then you'll start to see a lot of those other things starting to take care of one another.
Well, where do you see them missing the boat? Is it on not figuring out quite who they are, or is it in their systems? What are they missing out on?
I think it's two. I think it's both, to be honest with you. I think our chiropractic philosophy, whatever your philosophy is, has been lost in translation. We have schools that are talking out of both sides of our mouth. We have national organizations, some are pushing for drugs. Other ones are trying to stay straight. They're trying, like you said at the beginning of the podcast, the great thing about chiropractic is that we cover such a wide, vast array of services and things that we can offer. but it's the doctors who can really narrow in on who they are, what their philosophy is. Then that clarity helps to drive everything else. It's one of those things where in a world where there's so much constant chatter out there, it's the people that are very crystal clear on exactly who they are and what they do. Those are the ones that we see succeeding. But it's the guy that's the jack of all trades. They're not the ones that are making an impression in the world. And I think as a chiropractor, yes, you can offer a lot of services and do a lot of things, but you need to become clear on what you want to do and who you want to serve. And once that happens, then, I think the second thing is you're right. The systems is a major thing that we are seeing failure in our profession right now. And that's everything. I mean, that's from, obviously everything from marketing to your new patients as they come in, to their treatment protocols as you put them on there, their wellness protocols after that, your nutrition, everything needs to have a system. And we obviously are not prepared for that coming out of school. And there's a lot of people that are searching like, oh my gosh, where can I find these systems? Where can I do that? How do I do that? And that's something that doctors have to gain some clarity around.
So what should a chiropractor do who is looking for some steps? And this podcast is all about providing some actionable content for people. Let's talk about the new doc first. They're in their last year of school or they just graduated. What are some action steps they should take right now if they're a little lost?
I think if you're in school right now and you're entering your last year, you're kind of having the deer in the headlights experience where you're like, thank God I can see the end of the tunnel. Now, what am I going to do when I get out of that tunnel? So I think the first thing is you got to figure out who you are. So I would tell you to go visit a minimum of 20 offices, spend one day with each of them or a half a day with each of them. Heck, I probably have 4 or 5 students every couple months come in and spend a half day with me and just shadow. You got to learn who you are. You got to learn what type of practice that you want to have. And then number 2, can you make that style of practice, profitable for yourself? We are in business too, guys. I mean, it's great to serve people and charge everyone $5, but if you can't pay your light bill at the end of the month and put, a roof over your head, then you're not going to be serving anybody. So you got to find a way to, number 1, figure out who you are. And number 2, how are you going to get compensated for the job that you're doing? I think beyond that, you got to start laying down the systems that you're going to want to implement in your practice. What does that look like? What does a day 1, day 2, day 3 system look like? And start walking down those steps. I feel like in the world right now, people are searching high and low for chiropractic. They just don't know it. So we've got to use all of the tools that we have at our disposal, like Facebook, like Periscope, to get out there and meet them and talk their talk. And once they understand that, hey, we are good guys, we are here to help, then let's start to, implement some of that chiropractic into them, teach them about how the body has an innate ability to heal, teach them about, the foods that you eat and the air that we breathe and the water that we drink. So I think it's not just a simple answer of one thing, it's multiple things.
So tell me a little bit about Circle of Docs in terms of mentorship. Aside from what's on the website, are there paid membership packages or coaching?
That's such a great question. And to be honest, it's something that we are debating right now. I'll be very clear with you guys. COD was never intended to be a pay-for-play site. It was always a community and an opportunity for doctors to come on and to learn and to share. But like you said, there's lots of different options and lots of different people asking for this. So currently right now, no, we don't have anything written in stone. We're playing around with a few different ideas because obviously there's a lot of doctors who are in the situation that you're asking right now, and we want to help them. So we'll see what comes about of it, but I'm hoping and willing to do whatever we can to help those doctors succeed.
What vision do you have for the future of the company? Sounds like maybe some paid coaching, but what else?
I think with Circle of Docs, I have the vision of this, that chiropractic is a very small profession with a very big, grandiose ideas. I mean, you go to Cal Jam, you go to Parker's, you go to Mile High, you go to all these amazing Focus OKC, you go to all these amazing events, and I feel like this. I feel that what we do has the potential to change the entire demographic of our current healthcare system. I mean, people right now are more sick and tired than they ever have in their entire life, but they just don't know what to do. All they're doing is being bombarded by pharmaceuticals and drugs and surgery and all the stuff that we've known for the past, since 1895 when DD came out with it. But there's never been an alternative way to turn to say, oh, there is another option. Oh, guess what? Chiropractors do play nice with these other groups. Oh, I go to a naturopath. I go to a homeopath. I go to a physical therapist. I go to all of these people. Oh, wait, you guys are all talking the same language? You guys are all talking about the innate ability to heal itself? There's something to that. So as Circle of Docs continues to evolve in the future, what my vision is that it really becomes that, a true Circle of Docs. Now, obviously, we were starting in chiropractic because that's who we are. We are chiropractors. And also, our philosophy and our core beliefs and core values of who we are as a company will never change. But I also believe that there's a lot of doctors who don't call themselves quote-unquote chiropractors that believe the exact same thing. So I think if we can start having other doctors and other professions start to join Circle of Docs and start to communicate amongst each other, then guess what? Your net worth is your net worth, just like you said. So in every community, you should say, hey, Beau, or hey, I practice in Santa Maria. Hey, guess what? I practice in a town 3 minutes away from you. What are you? Oh, I'm an acupuncturist. Oh, I'm a chiropractor. Let's work together. Oh, I'm a naturopath. Yeah, I work with chiropractors all the time, right? So you are now creating your own true Circle of Docs, and it's all based upon who you are, what your philosophy, who your core values are, and your core beliefs are. And if we can start to do that, then guess what? We're going to start to serve more people, and we're going to start to take this thing, what we call chiropractic, and being really able to make a dent and to change the world.
What's really exciting you right now about Circle of Docs or anything?
Oh, accessibility. I mean, that's got to be it right now. I mean, you look at, I sit down and look at the analytics every day practically, and I'm literally shocked. I mean, people always say, oh, you can't scale chiropractic, Beau. Oh, chiropractic can't be big. You're never going to get chiropractors to agree on anything. I say, absolutely right. You're 100% right. But guess what? Online, I can. We look at our analytics, and there's no doubt in my mind that we are the number one online community for chiropractic, the number one most read chiropractic website in the world right now. On average, we're usually averaging over 100 countries that are reading COD every single month, hundreds of thousands of page views, hundreds of thousands of page turns and unique visitors. I mean, we have 10,000 doctors. 10,000 doctors where? No one's got 10,000 doctors right now. We got 10,000 doctors. And they're doing things, and they're on, and they're reading, and they're consuming, and they're acting. That's what's so awesome. Last year, we did this thing. I did this thing with Jared Yellen over at Synpractic called #GetAdjusted. And it was a movement where all people did was they shot a video, they took a picture, and they used the #GetAdjusted, and they posted on social media. We did it for 1 month long, and here was the results. This is crazy. Over 2 million posts with the term #GetAdjusted across Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. 2 million!
Wow.
Why? Because it's digital. We live in a digital world right now, and we need to embrace that and really kind of ride those coattails, because guess what? That's how people are consuming media. People aren't reading these print magazines anymore and newspapers. No, we all know that stuff's dead. We all know that stuff's gone, but you have your iPhone, you have your Android always with you. You're always looking at it, and you're always consuming. So if we can start to use the media that we have, we can change the world. We just have to be smart enough to know how to use the media, how to use our website, how to use our platform to get our message out to the world.
Let's talk about success, and let's go a little more general now. When you think of the word success, is there a particular person, or what do you think of when you think of that word?
Oh, success. I think success comes down to a personal belief, to be honest with you. If you've ever seen Dr. Chris Zano work, success in his mind is seeing 1,000 a day. Literally, 1,000 people
Wow.
walk through their doors of their practice, of their 4 or 5 doctors.
Wow.
I have some of my other friends, Dr. Sachin Patel up in Canada. Success to him is seeing 15 people a day, but being able to really take a deep dive into what their chronic diseases are and being able to help them with that. I also see success as a person that's on the road helping professional athletes. Dr. Troy Van Biesen is a friend of mine. He's the chiropractor to some of the world's best golfers. So success to him is being able to allow the body to work in a way that allows his athletes to go out there and win PGA Tour events. See, that's the great thing about chiropractic is that each person can define what their success is. So we just have to be able to create that picture in our mind. And once we have that picture, strive towards working towards that success.
Do you have a favorite book that you recommend?
Oh, my God.
Just one.
A favorite book. I'll tell you right now, my favorite book is a book by Jen and Simon Floriani, Well-Adjusted Babies. That's probably my current favorite book right now. And the reason I say that is because I have a lot of pregnant moms and young moms that are coming into my practice. I practice in California, which you may or not know is like the hotbed right now of all around the term vaccination, that SB 277 that was passed.
Yep.
So I think there's a lot of people that our eyes are now starting to be opened to what's happening and these vaccinations that they're giving these kids, and 71 doses of vaccines before they reach the age of 18. And people are like, wait a second here. Maybe this isn't right. Maybe our kids shouldn't be going in and getting, vaccinated 5 or 6 times every 6 to 9 months. Mm-hmm. So people are looking for alternatives right now. I think doctors in California have an amazing opportunity to really kind of stand up right now and say, hey, look, there is alternatives out there to, your kid not having 7 ear infections by the time that they're 5 years old, not having to have all of these things injected into their body. And I know that over in Australia right now, they're fighting a bitter battle right now around this whole thing. Mm-hmm. And what Dr. Simon and Dr. Jen are doing over there is really kind of the lighthouse and light beacon, I guess you would say, towards the natural health movement over there. And her book, Well-Adjusted Babies, is kind of flying off the shelves in my practice because people want to learn, they want to consume, they want to know how to have a natural, healthy pregnancy, how to deliver naturally and healthy. Cesareans are through the roof right now. And then once the baby is here, what should they be doing about it? The foods that they should be eating, chiropractic adjustments that they should be receiving, etc. So right now, that's kind of probably one of my favorite books that I have going.
Well, we'll definitely link to that in the show notes. As we draw towards a close here, I want to ask you, what's the best business advice you've ever received?
Simplicity, probability, and leverage. And I got that from my friend Rick Sapio over at Business Finishing School. Everything that this guy does, I don't know if you're familiar with Business Finishing School, but it's actually a product that him and Dr. Patrick Gentempo created, where they help young entrepreneurs figure out and create business success. It's almost like a quotient that they use. But it's all around those 3 words: simplicity, probability, and leverage. Your simplicity of what do you deliver? What does your practice do? Do you do chiropractic adjustments? Do you do rehab? Do you do nutrition? Do you do a little of each of those, or do you do a lot of 1 or 2 of those? Number 2, what's the probability of a person getting better doing that? Do you have the systems in place? Do you have the things that are set up for success? Just like you go to Subway, right? You go to Subway, you order something, you know exactly what's going to happen during the whole process. And number 3, leverage. As a chiropractor, or as a COD person, what I see a lot of chiropractors do is they try to be all things to all people. They're being the back office person, they're answering their phones, they're doing the ART, the MRT, they're doing the rehab, they're doing nutritional consults, they're calling their patients at the end of the day, they're doing their billing on the weekend, right? Superman syndrome. It's so stupid, right? Hire the right people, do the right things that you do great, and leverage everything else. So simplicity, probability, and leverage. And for docs who are listening, if you have not checked out Business Finishing School, I highly recommend that program. That's probably the best business program that I've seen out, and we've seen a lot of them across.
All right, we're going to link to that one too. I want to take a minute and thank you, Dr. Beau Pierce, for being a guest today on the podcast. What is the best way for people to contact you and find out more about Circle of Docs?
Well, I think that's it right there, my man. You just go to circleofdocs.com. I'm always over there. Obviously, you can check me out on Facebook if you want, or my practice, which is Pierce Chiropractic and Sports Injury Center. You can see what we do and kind of how I use social and what I kind of do in posts. I love, I think I have 3,000 or 4,000 quote-unquote friends on Facebook right now. But just check out circleofdocs.com, become a member, join, start interacting with the community. And, I believe that we're all in this together. And we're a smaller profession, so let's help one another because we all want to succeed and we all want to help more people in this world.
Love it. Thank you so much.
All right, man. Thanks so much.
Thank you for listening to the Chiro Business Mojo podcast. For links to what was discussed in today's episode, check out the show notes at chirobusinessmojo.com. And be sure to jump on over to iTunes and leave us a 5-star review if you liked what you heard. We'll see you next time.